Hello and welcome. If it is your first time here, hello again. If you are returning, welcome back. Nice to see you. Okay. Last video I finished the Ahsoka arc and season 5 of the Clone Wars. You can check out all of those episodes and all of the other seasons right in the corner. Today is all about lore learning. I'm going to be learning about the different eras of Star Wars with the help of Star Wars Explained. He's not actually here. I'm just watching a video. The video is every era of Star Wars fully explained.
The Dawn of the Jedi era takes place around 25,000 years before the events of Star Wars A New Hope, or possibly even earlier. We don't have exact dates for this era because it's the part of the timeline we know the least about. I would guess that it lasts for about 5,000 years, bringing us to 20,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, when the Old Republic begins to take shape. As the name suggests, this era surrounds the creation of the Jedi Order, which we currently know very little about. Fortunately, that story is on the way in the form of a film by James Mangold. For now, there are a couple
So
of
is that
events
one
we
of the
know happened
movies that is coming out?
Sure. Professor Hu Yang, the droid most recently seen in Ahsoka,
Yes.
was activated around this time, so he is old.
Oh snap. Again, was he created by the old Jedis then? Or did they find him like, where did you come from, sir?
It's likely the first Jedi temples were constructed, like the one seen on Ahch-To, and that brings us to the Prime Jedi, who is said to be the founder of the Order, but they could be a mythical or metaphorical figure.
Another question about, god dang, I forgot his name already. Our robot buddy, okay? If he's that old, how come the Jedis don't put him on the council? Because he has seen everything. Like, Yoda is old, but I'm assuming he's not that old. I don't know how long they live, but I don't think you are as old as the dawn of time. Unless, like I have said before, Yoda is actually evil. Maybe he's a Sith Lord. Okay. It would be a great idea to put him on the council. He can help them. He has seen all of the shenanigans that has gone down. Why just make lightsabers? Or he could do both.
As the Jedi Order grew in size, connected organizations like the Ordo Aspectu were created out of their philosophies. Seen in the Dr. Aphra comics, the Aspectu became a rival of sorts to the Jedi, leading to conflict. Since this era is a part of the Star Wars timeline, I can't imagine the creation of the Jedi Order will be completely peaceful and without struggle.
Yeah.
Star Wars Legends had a handful of stories covering this era, most notably with the novel Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void
But
and the
they're
Dawn of the
not
Jedi
canon
comics.
anymore,
The
right?
basics are that some mysterious ancient starships called Tho-Yor picked up Force sensitives across the galaxy,
Or they could go back and choose some of them as a part of the canon. So who knows, whatever.
and delivered them to the planet Tython, where they started something called the Jedi Order. Of course, conflict broke out and the light side users prevailed, transitioning into the Jedi Order. A group of conquering aliens called the Rakata were also involved. Their homeworld, Rakata Prime, as well as Tython are both canon planets, but I really doubt any of those story elements will be brought into
Was Tython where Raven was? Because the planet sounds very familiar to me.
James Mangold's film. I would expect the canon Dawn of the Jedi to be a fresh start. The Old Republic era starts about 20,000 years before the events of A New Hope, but right now that's unconfirmed, so it could start later. Those are the dates we know that an alliance was first formed between
The Acolyte is a part of the Old Republic, right?
the planets Coruscant, Corellia, Alderaan, and more, which created the foundation for what would become the Republic. This is also around the time that hyperspace travel wasn't necessarily first discovered, but it at least became more
I didn't read the relevant events for the other one. So we have the founding of the Old Republic, creation of the Sith Order, reorganization of the Republic. I'm assuming when they say creation of the Sith Order or one of the major force organizations, it is with Raven during this time and all of their shenanigans that will go on with the Sith until the rule of two. Oh, I am right. Defining characters: Darth Raven, Darth Bane. I have heard of him. I don't know who. Terra Vizsla. Oh, from Mandalore? Is this when the dark saber is made? Because that would be cool, okay? And freaking thanks to the 3 idiots, Palpatine has it now. They all irritate me, okay?
more widespread. This era goes all the way until 500 years before the Battle of Yavin, so it's easily one of the longest eras on the timeline. It's during this time that we see the creation of the Sith Order and their ongoing war with the Jedi. That begins around 5,000 years BBY when the Sith splinter out of the Jedi during a time called the 100-Year Darkness. The galaxy sees the rise of the Sith Empire and leaders like Darth Revan and Darth Bane. The
Yep.
Sith Wars last for 4,000 years until the Darksiders are nearly destroyed and thought to be extinct. In the midst of that, the Jedi also come across Mandalorians who start a war of their own. A Mandalorian Jedi named Tar Vizsla constructs the
Oh, it
Darksaber, and the
is!
Jedi build their primary temple on Coruscant. When the wars come to an end, the Old Republic is
Oh,
reorganized.
damn. So they've been on Coruscant for that long, huh? You would think it would be better and they would have figured things out, but here we are.
Organized into the Galactic Republic. This era of Star Wars has been almost entirely shaped by legend stories. We know of certain events thanks to reference books and mentions in other stories, but there have been no canon stories set in this era yet.
So if Legends is no longer canon, does that mean Raven and all of those stories are not real? And they should not be, like, looked into?
I believe that's because the Old Republic MMO is still receiving updates. It, along with the Knights of the Old Republic video games, are not canon, but I think Lucasfilm is staying out of that era for now to avoid confusion.
Okay.
The High Republic era begins 500 years before the events of the
That's
Star Wars
now,
films
right?
and lasts for
Or
4
what
centuries.
I'm watching now?
It's seen as a golden age for the
No.
Republic and the Jedi Order, who were both at the height of their power and idealism. With the threat of the Sith gone, the galaxy is largely at peace, so the Republic expands its influence deeper into the Outer Rim, sharing resources and prosperity with new planets.
Defining event, Republic expansion, okay. The Great Disaster, I don't know what that is. And Nihil? Conflict. I also don't know what that is. I have never heard of it. Defining characters, Chancellor Lina Soul, okay, something Rome, and the Jedi Order. So is this when they founded the Jedi Order as we know it now?
When conflicts do arise, the Republic and the Jedi both seek peace and negotiation, as seen on the warring neighbor worlds of Irem and Darono.
The Acolyte is obviously canon. Is the High Republic canon? Or is that a part of the other stories? Or did they take it from over there and made it canon?
But a group of marauders called Nihil opposed the expansion of light and life into their territory. They wage war against the Republic in a corner of the Outer Rim, unleashing a nameless, terrifying weapon that has the power to petrify Jedi and any Force users. The ongoing High Republic books and comics first shaped this era, taking place 400 to 200 years before the events of the Skywalker saga.
When you say Skywalker saga, are we talking about just the first 3 movies or all 6 of the movies, including the prequels? And do people use that as their anchor when going through the series and the timeline?
See the High Republic era in live action when The Acolyte premieres. That series is said to take place in the final days of the High Republic, so it should be around 1 century or so before the Battle of Yavin. We can break the High Republic down even further into 3 distinct phases. Quest of the Jedi starts at 500 BBY and lasts 118 years until 382 BBY. At this point, the Republic has become stable enough after the Sith Wars that they begin using Pathfinder teams to create new hyperspace lanes into the Outer Rim. A cult called the Path of the Open Hand rises to power, opposing all Force users, including the Jedi, believing manipulating the Force, even to save lives, is evil.
I can see that. Even when it comes to the Jedis, they do some shenanigans, okay? I can see everyone turning on everyone with the Force powers.
Hostility comes to a head in the battles of Jedha and Dalna, where the Nameless are first witnessed by the Jedi Order before disappearing. There's a 150-year gap before the next phase called Light of the Jedi, which begins in the year 252 BBY and goes 23 years to 229 BBY. In that gap, the Path of the Open Hand transforms themselves into the more aggressive Nihil Marauders, who once again use the Nameless to attack the Jedi and destroy a Republic space station called Starlight Beacon. The third phase is called Trials of the Jedi, lasting 9 more years from 229 BBY to 220. The books and comics are currently covering that time period, so we don't know everything about it, but it's centered around the corner of the galaxy the Nihil have taken by force. I assume by the end of that phase, the Nihil threat will be dealt with. And then we will have another 100-year or so gap before the events of the Acolyte take place, which we will learn more about later this year. Now we're reaching the point.
I haven't seen the Acolyte, but I kind of wish they continue with the show. You know, instead of like canceling it after 1 season, at least give it some time to like get its footing. Like when it comes to the Clone Wars, I didn't like love season 1, but it has gone a million times better from where we started. But it is what it is.
Point in the timeline where every other era combined takes place in less time than the High Republic alone. The fall of the Jedi era begins about 100 years before the events of A New Hope and lasts until the end of the Clone Wars in the year 19 BBY. During
Okay.
this time, the long-forgotten Sith Order begins to secretly rise in power once again. The events of the High Republic era change the Jedi and the
And the Jedis didn't notice. Just like they didn't know the Zongarian slavers were back. Those weirdos were kidnapping and hunting people. And the Mandalorians, okay? They never noticed anything at all, ever.
Republic, leaving them more and more open to manipulation and corruption. The
Mm-hmm.
Jedi
Length 81 years, defining events, Naboo invasion. So this is the timeline we're in right now, or the timeline I'm watching, and the Clone Wars. Yep. Defining people, freaking Chancellor Palpatine, Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka, poor sweetheart, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. Trash. Anyways, the prequel trilogy and the Clone Wars.
decommissioned the several outposts they had across the Outer Rim and become more isolated and centralized on Coruscant. Bureaucrats and greedy politicians multiply inside the Galactic Senate. The Sith Lord Darth Sidious maneuvers his way into the position of Supreme Chancellor and orchestrates several crises that push the galaxy into full-scale war. The
Just
Jedi
trash.
are put on
I
the
hate
front
him
lines
so
of the
much.
conflict and are eventually wiped out by their own troops. With no one left to oppose
Crazy.
his rule, Sidious turns the Republic into the first galactic empire, and liberty dies with thunderous applause. As Emperor of the
Literally.
Galaxy, he takes on a new Sith
Literally, okay? Literally. Those idiots were clapping for it as it happens. It's insane.
apprentice, the former Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker
I hate the Senate
turned
so
Darth
much.
Vader.
They suck so
But
hard.
Skywalker's two children are taken into hiding by two surviving Jedi Masters. The reign of the Empire era lasts
Did he say they were taken in or taken away by surviving Jedis? Obi-Wan took Luke. Who took Leia?
19 years, taking us from the end of the Clone Wars all the way to the Battle of Scarif. The few surviving Jedi of the galaxy go into hiding, but many are hunted down by Darth Vader and his Inquisitors. The Empire grows unchecked, expanding its borders and military might. In secret, it constructs a massive space station called the Death Star, which has the power to destroy entire planets.
Okay, defining events, decommissioning of the clones, Aldani heist. Oh yes, Battle of Scarif. Defining characters, freaking Palpatine, Darth Vader, Mon Mothma, The Bad Batch, Andor, Star Wars, Rebels, and Star Wars Jedi.
The Empire and its Sith leader rule through fear above all else, but the sparks of rebellion spread across the galaxy. Regular citizens create a network called the Hidden Path to smuggle Jedi and other Force-sensitive people to safety. Small rebel cells form on numerous planets, working independently until a senator named Mon Mothma publicly denounces the Emperor and organizes them into a unified movement
I'm
called
so
the
afraid
Rebel
for her.
Alliance. As the rebels take bolder
Girl, you are in danger all of the time, okay? So if the Bad Batch happens during this time, who are they working for? Are they called the Bad Batch because they're like rebels? Are they working for Palpatine? Because I'm assuming you kept the clones for a while before he started hiring regular people.
action, Imperial leadership tightens its grip on the galaxy, seeking to crush any hope of defiance. When the Alliance learns of the existence of the
Doing
Death
stupid
Star,
stuff.
the rebellion strikes out in its first
Which makes
active
people
open
hate you
war against
more.
the Empire to steal the plans for the superweapon. The Age of Rebellion era begins with the lead-up to the Battle of Yavin, the destruction of the Death Star, and takes us through the Battle of Jakku and the end of the Galactic Civil War 5 years later, making this the shortest era of the timeline. But that
Okay.
doesn't stop it from having more stories than any other era. After
That
the
makes
destruction
sense.
of Alderaan and the rebel victory at the Battle of Yavin, more star systems rise up against the Empire. Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa, the children of Darth Vader, rise to prominence during this time. Leia cements herself as a primary leader of the Rebel Alliance.
Okay, defining events, Battle of Yavin, Hoth, Endor, and Jakku. Defining characters, Luke, Leia, Han Solo, Darth Vader. Okay. The original trilogy, Star Wars, Battlefront 2, Aftermath.
And a symbol of hope. Luke learns the ways of the Force, becoming a full-fledged Jedi Knight after confronting his father, bringing Anakin Skywalker back to the light side of the Force. Darth Sidious and his empire are both defeated in the Battle of Endor. Imperial leadership lashes out in vicious attacks across the galaxy in what they call Operation Cinder. Their
Trash.
devastation continues for an entire year until the Empire finally officially surrenders at the Battle of Jakku. However,
Shouldn't Ahsoka's show be a part of this? Or is that further down the timeline?
However, some governors and warlords refuse to give up, carving off pieces of the galaxy as their own territory. This part of the timeline is, of course, defined by the original Star Wars trilogy, as well as the many books, comics, and video games that take place in between those films. The New Republic era begins after the Rebel Alliance transitioned into an official government called the New Republic and
Yeah, I
lasts
should
for
have
over
chosen
2
a new
decades.
name.
Although
Okay.
the Galactic
And
Civil War
new
has
people.
ended, undoing the damage done by the Empire proves challenging. Outer Rim planets fall into lawlessness, and the Imperial Remnant is allowed to thrive in the distant reaches of the galaxy. New Republic
Okay, 21 years, defining characters, nope. Defining events, retaking of Mandalore. Ooh, by who? I want to see that. That's very exciting. Okay. Except it's Bo. She deserves nothing. Thrawn's return. He is in Ahsoka, which I am excited to see. Defining characters, Din something. Grogu, okay. Ahsoka Tano. Moff Gideon. Thrawn.
outposts try to warn their leaders of a growing threat, but high-ranking officials turn a blind eye, hoping to avoid another war. Instead, the responsibility largely falls on citizens of the Outer Rim, like several Mandalorian clans, New Republic soldiers willing to defy orders, and a Jedi survivor named Ahsoka Tano who fails to prevent the return of a brilliant Imperial Grand Admiral
I'm
named
so excited
Thrawn.
to see that.
His homecoming will likely unite the Imperial Remnant under his leadership to mount one final campaign against the New Republic. During this time, Luke Skywalker begins a Jedi training academy and takes on his nephew, Leia's son, Ben Solo, as his first student. This section of the timeline is where many of the Star Wars streaming series take place, including The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and the upcoming series Skeleton Crew. The rise of the First Order era begins 28 years after the Battle of Yavin and takes us through to the Battle of Exegol 7 years later. Although the New Republic
It's so crazy to me that y'all know y'all have lost the Republic at least twice, okay? Actually, I'm gonna take out the old Republic. At least once. Y'all have been in an intergalactic war, okay? Y'all have failed miserably. Tons of Jedis die. And somehow you still let the First Order rise. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, I don't know what y'all were doing. The Republic, I don't know what you were doing. The Jedis, I don't know what y'all were doing. It don't make sense.
Survives the Imperial Remnant, they still struggle to remain united and free of corruption. The spirit of Emperor Palpatine lives on in a clone body. From a hidden Sith world in the unknown regions, he orchestrates the rise of the First Order from the...
I already knew that. Did the Jedis that survive return to the New Republic? Or they stayed away and the Republic is on its own? And how many of them survived?
The ashes of his empire. Leia learns of the danger and creates a resistance prepared to fight.
Defining events, deconstruction, okay, battle of Exegol. Defining characters, Rey, okay, Ben Solo, Finn, Poe, Dameron, Leia, Luke, Emperor, ugh. And then defining stories, sequel, trilogy, bloodline.
While the New Republic turns a blind eye, but her son Ben Solo falls to the dark side after a huge misunderstanding with Luke Skywalker. He takes up the name Kylo Ren and joins the First Order. With a new superweapon, they destroy the New Republic Senate and take control of the galaxy for 1 year. Leia's resistance fights back with the help of Palpatine's granddaughter Rey, who learns to become a Jedi under both Luke and Leia.
How did they build like an entire army with weapons, giant ships? And how do you not have like something around the planets to protect them? You have had planets destroyed before.
The Resistance help inspire the rest of the galaxy to stand against oppression and the dark side, defeating Darth Sidious, his forces, and the Sith Order once and for all.
They'll probably return. I don't trust the Republic. Y'all suck.
The New Jedi Order era is currently the final era that we know of in the canon Star Wars timeline. I imagine it will begin immediately or shortly after the rise and fall of the First Order. While this was a major era in Star Wars legends, we know next to nothing about it in canon right now. But similar to the Dawn of the Jedi era, it will be defined by an upcoming movie involving Rey and her efforts to create a new Jedi Order.
Defining events, creation of the new Jedi Order, okay. Defining character Rey, defining stories, untitled New Jedi Order movie. Okay, wow.
It'll take place 15 years after the Battle of Exegol and the other events of the Rise of Skywalker, which is 50 years after the Battle of Yavin. I expect she will have made some decent strides by then, hopefully having some students. Hopefully Finn will also be a Jedi. The only thing we can say about the bigger picture is a quote from director Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, who said the new Jedi Order would be opposed by rising powers that hope to destroy them, which is vague and unsurprising. I wonder if those powers will be made up of just regular people instead of some rival dark side group. It would be interesting if some people felt similar to Luke in The Last Jedi, that the Jedi Order just causes problems and should be a thing of the past.
That would be interesting, okay? I can see people being like, we're tired of all of you. Siths, Jedis, just don't be here, okay? Just leave.
That would give the movie a great opportunity to explore why the Jedi are important, but the fact of the matter is, this is the era we know
Or
the
why
least
they're
about
annoying.
right now.
Okay.
Like I said, in Legends, the new Jedi Order
Why
was a
they
major
shouldn't
era
work
for
with the
Star
Republic.
Wars books. It was centered around an extragalactic invasion by the Yuuzhan Vong, warrior aliens that devastated the galaxy and nearly destroyed the New Republic. They posed a major challenge for Luke's new Jedi Order, and their attack saw the deaths of Chewbacca and Han and Leia's son, Anakin Solo. The war lasted from 25 to 29 years after the Battle of Yavin, so it was far earlier than Rey's movie will take place. I bring this up because fans have been wondering if the Yuuzhan Vong will appear in the next Star Wars film, and I doubt it. Based on what we've heard about opposition to the Jedi specifically, instead of a new galactic threat, I doubt the Vong will pop up. But it is worth noting that they were nearly brought into an arc of the Clone Wars, so I wouldn't say it's completely off the table either.
That is every era of Star Wars fully explained by Star Wars Explained. Fantastic video. I learned some new things and I wanted to dig more into each of the eras. So this was a good start to get an overview of everything. The link for every era of Star Wars fully explained will be in the description and in the comments. I'm assuming you already know Star Wars Explained, okay? But they'll be there if you want to check them out. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope you have a good one and you'll see me later. Bye.